This is not a video to attack the I Don't Dream of Labour movement or the supporters of this movement. I am more interested in analyzing the trend and comparing it to our modern day society. Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. So I was working on my next video, The Dangerous Rise of Entrepreneurship on, and during my research, the I Don't Dream of Labour or I Don't Have a Dream Job videos kept popping up on my feed. And I was like, wait a minute, this is something we need to address. So I watched a few of these videos. I watched the video from Lynette and Catarault, I hope I pronounced that right, just to get a feel of what was being discussed so I can add to the conversation. As someone who has worked multiple 9-to-5 jobs and I've started passion projects in very entrepreneurial, I see where they are coming from, and the whole we don't have to work a job, we can have it all approach seem honest. But just watching these videos, I can see how problematic some of these ideas are. What I find most problematic is that there are no clear definitions of the ideas shared. There is some fantasy involved. Fantasy is not real life. The leftist / anti-capitalist view on this I don't dream of labor or I don't have a dream job trend is to see a world where we do not have to sell our labor to make a profit. They imagine a world where our jobs are not linked to our survival and where we prioritize helping the community over profit. In a sense, I agree with the leftist view that capitalism presents its problem, especially in the workplace culture. In fact, there are two problems. There is the issue of alienation, that is, we have no control over what is produced, where and when it's produced, or how much of what is produced is sold and how much it is sold for. The second problem is the issue of exploitation, that is, we do not receive the full value of what is produced, and when we do receive value, this value is not equal to our efforts. Perhaps one of the reasons why the I don't dream of labor trend is problematic is that the matter has been approached from a surface level rather than from the core. And if we were to join the trend, what is the solution to avoid this capitalism?
So what I personally see as the solution is using my privilege in order to help those who do not have as much privilege, right? And in order for all of us to live our dream lives, we need to create a world in which everyone has access to our dream lives. So for me, I've always had a goal of investing in real estate so I can give people access to housing, right? Imagine if people who currently own real estate decide to cut their profits and provide people with cheaper housing or even free housing.
Great idea. So if we're to leave capitalism, do we practice communism, a system in which all property is owned by the community and each person contributes according to their ability and receives according to their needs? The only issue is that communism neither solves the problem of alienation because the ownership of the means of production still lies in the hands of one's community and one still does not keep the full product of the value of one's labor. Neither does communism solve the problem of exploitation because if someone's ability exceeds their needs, then whatever extra they produce is taken and given to the person whose needs exceeds their ability. In fact, let's take a look at some countries that have practiced communism and how they fared. A report from Washington Post shows that because of the level of power needed to establish and maintain the communist system, this system naturally attracted many unscrupulous people that were after their own desires. Instead of liberation and a utopian society that was promised, there was mass famine in communist countries like North Korea and Ethiopia. The communist system also failed because in the absence of markets, there was little incentive for workers to either be productive or to focus on making goods that might actually be useful to consumers. Many people also try to do as little work as possible at their official job, instead reserving their real efforts for black market activity. That sure sounds like Okay, let's not speak in theory. Here is a long list of countries who have taken the communist approach and failed at it. If capitalism and communism doesn't work, should we turn to socialism, where the means of production, distribution, and exchange is owned or regulated by the community as a whole? I don't know how much I like the idea of socialism, but let's not speak in theory. In actual terms, socialism has failed in every country in which it has been tried. It's been tried in Israel, it's been tried in India, it's been tried in the United Kingdom, and it has failed in all 3 countries. All these countries have ended up embracing capitalism. Now, this is not a defense of capitalism. I'm just trying to separate our current reality from fiction and, for lack of a better word, wishful thinking. If wishing could make things happen, we will all have everything we ever wanted. I dare say the problem we have is not capitalism or communism or socialism. I dare say the problem we have is human nature. In Cataralt's video, she asked if capitalism wasn't involved and you had all your needs met, what would you do with your life? And that's the thing, there is always a trade-off. A job, by its very definition, means a task or a piece of work, especially one that is paid. So you may not love your job, but you may have found a balance where you like your job enough in order for that job to fund the things that you do love and are necessary, e.g. traveling and paying your rent. Also, in response to that question, the major reasons why people wanted to quit their job from the comment section was, I want my life's work to look like this: growing a garden, writing stories, painting, learning ceramics. I want to learn new skills, swimming, dancing. These were some of the things that people wanted to do if they were not working a regular 9-to-5 job. The common theme that I discovered was a huge focus on I want to have a huge garden. I want to experiment with my hair more. Okay. There is a huge focus on individualism. Oscar Wilde, the famous anarchist writer Oscar Wilde, believed individualism is a disturbing and disintegrating force because it seeks to disturb monotony of type, slavery of custom, tyranny of habit, and the reduction of man to the level of a machine, which I believe is what the I don't dream of labor advocates are trying to communicate. In this way, individualism has been used to denote a personality with a strong tendency towards self-creation and experimentation, as opposed to traditional or popular mass opinions and behaviors. Therefore, it comes as no surprise to me that the top countries that are individualistic are first world countries, and it makes sense. All the creators that I have seen talking about this trend or upping on this trend are mostly from first world countries. They have a college degree, they have a job, or are now comfortable enough to quit their job. So I see how the idea may even be realistic for them. In the same vein, it immediately shows that the I don't dream of labor or I don't have a dream job idea would change from place to place, from country to country. So this trend can be more individualized rather than generalized. Which brings me to do a comparison between the age of invention and the current age that we are in right now, which is the experience age. We as a society have benefited immensely from the hard work of those that come before us. That is, the inventors of the 19th and the 20th century. They invented the steam engine, the typewriter, sewing machine, etc., etc. And they worked with limited resources. And we can agree that the progress we've made in modern society today is built upon their work. I think that we can also agree that in comparison, the work we do now is less physically strenuous than back in the 19th or 20th century. And it really does make me wonder about the experience age, where we are enamored with a lifestyle to do nothing. I mean, if I can just dance it out on TikTok and twerk like a boss and get paid for it, why the heck should I do anything? So there is basically no incentive to do anything. Let's all go to the beach and sail to the sunset. The Instagram lifestyle has really distorted our vision of what real life looks like, and I feel that sometimes we throw common sense out the window. A lot of people are able to live that aesthetically pleasing life that they present to us on social media and escape the so-called dream job because they come from privilege. And when we want to talk about the underdogs, the outliers, we are so quick to point out that one rag to riches story, forgetting that these outliers are like needles in a haystack. The media has also managed to promote the narrative that if you work for others, you are building the dreams of others. Why not work for yourself? But there is so much fault in that thinking. First, there is nothing wrong with working for others if that will provide an opportunity to earn an income and, more importantly, do meaningful work. And by the way, for all the talk about how unfulfilling jobs are, because it is so easy to assume, I actually found this research from YouGov where of 1,133 British workers interviewed, 45% say that they like their job, 17% say that they love their jobs, and 47% of British workers seem satisfied with their level of pay. It's sort of like when they say, cancel the Kardashians, we don't want to hear from the Kardashians. But then you realize that there are millions of people who will buy their products in 5 minutes. Hannah, that's a weird example. Alright. If you think that escaping your 9 to 5 solely because it's going to be easier working on your passion, whether that is to farm or get companies to sponsor your travel blog, think again. A quick Google search will show you that the average entrepreneur working their passion spends a minimum of 50 hours per week and can work up to 90 hours per week, and they are more likely to burn out. I also read this research paper titled "I Wish I Had a Regular Job," an exploratory study of entrepreneurial regret. And I just want to read out the entrepreneurship and regret section because it ties to what I am trying to illustrate. For entrepreneurs, the unmet expectations can result from the very nature of entrepreneurial activities, which are often characterized by long hours, heavy workload, financial risk, irregular income, and challenges in balancing work and family. Greenhouse and Callanan, for example, identified a number of factors that distinguish entrepreneurial careers from the more traditional careers of organizational employees. These include personal risk of failure, higher degree of personal commitment to the success of the firm, a lower degree of structure, predictability, and support, as well as the need to perform multiple functions. In the same vein, Mohammed found that the self-employed put in 32% more time at work on a weekly basis compared to salaried workers. Because of the different nature of entrepreneurial careers and employment for wages, it could be expected that some entrepreneurs will experience regrets and disappointments, what Bayron called regretful thinking regarding their career choice. Research is very eye-opening, especially if you've taken this "I don't dream of labor" trend to heart. So I highly suggest you read it, and I'll leave it in the description box below. All of that to say that the equivalent of a bad boss is having bad clients, which you are more than likely to encounter as you work on your passion. The equivalent of an average salary while working a 9 to 5 is having no income for months as you build your passion to fund the lifestyle that you desire. The equivalent of a toxic work environment is vendors that will deliver fake products that won't deliver your orders on time, customers that will cancel last minute, 10 views on a video you spent 25 hours working on, and running out of money, which is worse. I wish that the media and social media would stop romanticizing the dream life and conditioning so many young people to hate a job or to hate work even before they ever get one. Whether working a job, a dream job, or working a passion, all three can be as fulfilling and just as toxic.
As you scale up your business, you're going to realize that your company will need to use more corporate strategies. And what I mean by this is maybe org charts, you're going to need managers, you're going to need departments, you're going to need some sort of hierarchy, you're going to need to enforce policies and be very strict on those policies. And as someone like me, where I started my company because I hated the 9 to 5 and I was bashing the 9 to 5 structure, how much I hated politics, how much I hated hierarchy, how much I hated all these things, slowly as I grew my business, I realized that my business became a corporation.
When you start working for yourself, you're eventually going to get to a point where you can't do everything and you have to outsource. So you're simply shifting the same burden of work to others, which makes you a capitalist. This comment on one of the videos I watched is so spot on. Let's not forget that these so-called companies that we keep addressing are just everyday people like Vanessa Lau, whose passion project blew up. It is people like you and I who grow to become these corporations. So if we all listen to the advice to quit our jobs, who are the anti-capitalists going to hire to sort the admin side of their business? Who is going to do your accounting? Who is going to sort out the taxes? And what I find problematic as well is that it is all good to share this idea in theory. They really sound good in theory, but when it comes to making it a reality, it is a whole different ball game. The issue of going to college has become a very touchy subject. Should you go to college? Should you not go to college? But I'm afraid it's central to this topic of discourse. I have to agree with the I don't dream of labor training in this case, that there is that fear of, not going to school, or what am I going to end up with if I don't have a degree? But that fear is justified. It's the same way you are afraid, like, what if I don't go to school? What would happen to me? So it is on both end of the spectrum. Besides that, there are so many millennials and Gen Z who hold the key to cancer treatment, who would create the next masterpiece in literature, who would discover the next fossil fuel, who will rule in government, but now we'll never know because their approach to education is so flawed. I cringe every single time people correlate having an education with just working a job. If that is the only purpose of education, I don't see the point in it. I think we should be more futuristic. I think we should think more long term, and I really long for the day where education will be relatively free. But if you can't afford to have an education, just have a change in perspective, because if we can just change our perspective, then we will no longer see going to college as just a means of getting a job, but as a way to achieve our own goals. Currently, the ideal model of work that will bring you money and fame is to be a social media influencer or a recording artist. But where is the recognition that comes from being an economist or an engineer or a care worker or a nurse or a firefighter or a physicist? I'm willing to bet that if this same career path gets as much publicity and pay, that people will realign their goals. These are just some of the solutions that I have observed based on personal experience and on my research. I believe that the concept of work has evolved. If anything, 2020 has shown us all that we don't have to work from a cubicle before we can get work done. So for those who don't want to go the entrepreneurial route or don't want to create a YouTube channel but still want to do meaningful work, perhaps remote work is the way to go. A Robert Half study shows that 49% of people quit their job because of a bad boss, not because of an entire capitalist system that operates in some mysterious ways, but because of a bad boss. So it's safe to say that if you are ever in a leadership position, let's be more considerate. And while we're at it, can we talk about pay and improving pay and working conditions? I think that is very, very, very important. Also, I think work should not be monotonous because then it gets tiring. I like Google's 20% project, an initiative where company employees are allocated 20% of their paid work time to pursue personal projects. Instead of just doing one type of work, you can explore your own interest. This 20% project led to the creation of Gmail, AdSense. That was a product of capitalism. I think that other companies should apply this initiative. In a perfect world, there will be no need to do any work. You will have all your needs met without stress, and money will never be a problem. You can do as you wish and live life completely on your own terms. But this is not a perfect world, and we must face the brutal truths. I think that the idea of capitalism and the state of work is not something that I can fully explore in a short YouTube video, because it's easy for us to press record on our cameras and talk and analyze, but the reality and the execution of these ideas far outweighs a YouTube trend. So what do you think about this video? Do you think that I made some sense in this video, or do you think that I'm talking in the nonsense? I really want to hear your thoughts, so please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I really enjoyed recording this video, and if you enjoyed watching it, please hit the like button, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.